Hello, Freedom Nation, and I'm so glad to be sharing this best of interview with you of John Crestani. So, John started off his first entrepreneurial venture was a lemonade stand at a local golf course, and he went on to build a marketing career, digital marketing career, and now helps digital influencers understand the value of their businesses. I hope you enjoy this interview. John was just a joy to interview, and I really truly wanted to share this best of interview with you on our channel.
All in you. Everything you're looking for, it's all in you. You gotta believe that it's all in you. Everything you're searching for, it's all in.
Hey, everybody, it's Jeff here once again with the Freedom Nation podcast. And guess what? We are in our new home in Northwest Austin and a new podcast studio. You'll be seeing more and more of it as we have the interviews where it's not just me on the screen. But for today, our first interview out of the new podcast studio is Chris Crestani. Chris is out in Malibu, California. He is the epitome of the Freedom Day story. I cannot wait to tell his story or have him tell his story to you. Chris, how are you doing, buddy?
Oh, it's John.
Oh, geez, good Lord, man. It's one of those days.
Oh, no, don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry about it.
Hey, I was so excited about the studio. I didn't get your name on there, man. Hey, come on now.
Hey.
Hi, John. Now that I've screwed that up, let's just get started from there. Tell us your story, man. How'd you end up out in Malibu and where you're at today?
Totally, man. One of my dreams, I'd say, coming out of college was I want to be a multimillionaire. I want to live in Malibu. And so just really chugging through the years, that's happened. And I'm really excited about. The downside is I didn't realize how there's no young people in Malibu and it's lonely, kind of in the middle of nowhere. And I'm relatively young, so I didn't realize that. But that being said, the way I got here was through marketing, through sales and marketing. And I think my story is pretty common for a lot of entrepreneurs, but I started out selling stuff. My dad had me selling stuff in lemonade stands. Nice. At our local golf course when they had tournaments in the weekends. And when I got into college, I started selling study guides to international students. And how did I find that international students were such a hot audience for study guides? I was making 5,000 to 10,000 extra a semester. And I'd say there's an animalistic hunger that happens to people to make money. And it's when you really tap into that true desire that comes from your core to build a business, to add value to people, to find who wants what you have to sell, you can make it happen. And I'll get into more specific tactics folks can use if that's something you want to go into later on. But I, after college, worked for a marketing agency for 2 years. Went off on my own after the 2 years. I was always the best employee at my, people say, oh, you're unemployable. I was the best employee at my office. Yep. First in, last to leave, performance, always hit every number. I was managing people's ad accounts. And when I started doing that on my own, I went from making 6,000 a month to making 60,000 a month. And
yeah, I think I'd rather be unemployable and do that.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're paying yourself and when you rise to that income level. So I put myself in a business model, which was affiliate marketing that allowed me to earn that type of income. And nobody was saying, oh, we're paying them too much. And then after that, I sold in 2017 to present. I started selling information on how to do affiliate marketing, how to start an online business. And just this year, I started my second business, which is Advance Pay. And that's my sole focus in life, which really it's data analytics, it's influencer analytics. And influencer marketing is just the highest ROI place. People don't like buying products from ads. People prefer to buy products from people they trust. Yeah. And the social media has made that possible, but there's no analytics on who's going to give you that ROI. People don't even have estimations. Who are my competitors working with? So that's what we're doing right now. And that's where I'm at. I live in beautiful Malibu, building some horse stables over there. I do beekeeping. Nice. I have 2 kids and beautiful daughters, 3 and 5. And that's basically me.
That is brilliant. What was that transition like going from basically selling you to selling information? How did you make that transition?
Great question. So what I noticed was that when I was marketing other people's products, I didn't have first off, I wasn't building any asset. I was putting up ads. I was buying an ad here for $1 and hoping to make $2 from selling basically the customer or the leads to the companies.
Yeah.
And it fluctuated a lot, but I said, I'm not building anything that can create freedom for myself.
No.
Because I have to grind all the time, every day, every month to always keep my golden goose laying eggs. And I said, and I'd sold that business for a minimal amount of money to a business partner of mine, but nothing life-changing, right? So I was in a place where I said, what do I want my business to be? This is end of 2016. What do I want? And I said, I don't want to have to grind every day. And I wrote it all out. I wrote out what I wanted and what I didn't want. I said, I didn't want to manage a bunch of employees. I wanted something where I figure out marketing, I build an asset, and I make money. And that's what I did, selling information products. And that is still making 6 figures a month or 7 figures a year to this day. That happened really fast. I just took the time and effort and skills I already had and put them in a higher value place.
Yep.
I also started saving money, which I hadn't been doing in my early and mid 20s.
Which is a good thing. I might recommend that you do that.
And doing that through my own business, I was able to sock away a massive amount of money every year, tax-free, and buy real estate and do all this different stuff. And I've been able to build up a pretty nice sized nest egg for myself so that I can focus, but I'm still hungry. I want to be a billionaire and I want to solve problems at that scale. So that's why I'm really still going hard.
And what you're doing is not only if you have a business and that information products business, it may or may not have some value at some point in the future. What you're doing is if you're in that type of business where I'm using my brain, I'm selling kind of my brain, and there's not a lot of value to my brain, then take that money and skirt that off to some other asset like you're doing. So you're doing the right stuff. Move it to another asset that generates an income stream, another income stream out of it, whether it's real estate, whether it's insurance, whatever strategy you use, that's how you create another asset that has value at that point. And then now you're off building the new asset. So let's talk a little bit about advance pay and how that works. And because I've looked at affiliate or I've looked at influencer market, and quite frankly, my feeling on some of it was I think half of it's bullshit, quite frankly, as far as their audiences, because there is ways to pay and grow your audience on things like Instagram and things like that. So how are you able to get past the BS and get into the ROI side?
Sure. If you think about it from a very fundamental perspective, the reason people are on social media is not to look at ads.
Yeah.
They're there to engage with people. Okay. First off, influencer marketing, it cuts out the middleman. But the problem is you can't really do it at scale, whereas you can just tell Facebook, I want to reach these sorts of people. Facebook's AI is so advanced, they can figure that out. But influencer marketing, you're really relying on, right now, you're relying on people to tell you what people to work with.
Yeah.
You're going to some dude who's saying, oh yeah, I know a bunch of micro influencers you should work with, Jeff. And you know what? People are messy, and the people that get the most business usually are doing sales, are not usually the best marketers.
Sure.
The people who have the best sales, there's a wonky correlation there. It doesn't work out. So what we're doing is we're bringing data to it. So we're saying, if you are a business broker, let's say, you can say, who are the top influencers working with business brokers? Who can give and if I have only $1,000 to spend, who are a few dudes I can work with?
Sure.
But the hardest part is identifying who is the right person to work with.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we do that not through demographics, not through hashtags. We're doing that by showing who is already working with your competitors, who are the biggest influencers for business brokers, who's moving the most weight loss products or protein shakes. We show you who's moving revenue right now rather than who put a hashtag up for business.
That's exactly right. Yeah, exactly. Or who put a hashtag up for dance moves or something like that. may or may not have my target audience in the mix of that.
Exactly. So we don't care what content people are posting about. We care what brands or what companies or they are promoting.
Nice.
Because we care about who's selling. That's all we care about.
Yeah.
Who's getting ROI and how much do you have to pay? Because what the other thing that doesn't always work out with these influencers is a lot of people say, oh, we're going to do only performance deals.
Yeah.
And we only want to do performance deal because frankly, I'm dumb and I don't know what you're going to do. We show you what they're going, what their estimate, what they've done in the past, because these influencers on their side, they've built up a name and a reputation and audience. They don't want to put their name, reputation, their audience on the line for somebody who's never paid them before. And they don't even know if they're going to pay them.
That's exactly right. Yeah. That's fantastic. I mean, I think that's the future. I think you're right on the forefront of where the world is moving. And I think you've gotten past the 12-year-old kids unboxing something, and you've got legit people that are influencers nowadays that are out there. And it'll be interesting to see if you're able to identify some influencers that may not be the top 100 that are out there. Find some of these micro influencers that are much more easy to target in, because I just see the pay-per-click advertising just getting more and more expensive and less effective.
And it's also because the tracking, like all these privacy things, don't get me started ranting about all the geopolitical data things that are going on. But yeah, we talked a little bit about this earlier. You could get me ranting for hours here, but basically you can't track things as well anymore. So the ads it's hurting. We spend thousands of dollars a day in advertising, and we've seen, like, in order to reach an individual person on YouTube, for instance, that has gone up roughly 15 times, at least in our niche, 15 times in the last 4 years.
Good Lord.
And these are just to reach the same person. So that squeezes your margin, that forces you to adapt your business, raise your prices. It forced us to raise our price. We've had to raise our prices 10 times.
Good Lord.
Or 10 times of what the price was in the last couple years to deal with this. It's
just, and you're just taking the small guy out of the equation. And I know exactly why they're doing it, because, a small person and a big person are as big of a pain in the ass. So I'd rather get paid by the bigger person.
The fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, Google and YouTube and Facebook, there has never been more money being spent on marketing in the history of the world. Like, marketing wasn't even a thing until 100 years ago. And now you can barely even reach people if you don't pay money. So it's changing.
Yeah. And I mean, that, like I said, I think where you're going, the beauty of this is too, you shouldn't get a big slap down from the companies because you're using your own private data in those cases.
Yep.
You're not relying on them for data that they control.
Yep. Exactly.
Fantastic. Cool. So is the Dance Pay launched already, or is it still in the startup stage?
Yeah, so we have a prototype up. We're building our databases. Right now, we only have a couple thousand YouTube creators that we're cataloging data on. We need to get that up to about 500,000 YouTube creators. That's about 1% of the audience of creators. So we need to get that up to 500,000, and we need to get that up to about 10,000 brands we're tracking. And we're only tracking about 1,500. So when we get to that point, it's gonna be what I consider valuable. But we're just 3 months in, and we're chugging hard though.
That's not bad for 3 months in. It's gathering the data that's the challenge to begin with. Once that's done, then it's a lot easier and it's scalable and it has lots of value to it. That's awesome. I'm excited to hear, and we're going to stay in touch so I can hear what's going on with it.
I'll throw you on our monthly company updates.
Oh yeah, I love it.
I have your email.
Yeah, and if you're here in town, we'll go out and grab a beer.
Oh yeah, I go out to town regularly because our investors are the VC we're working with is out in the 6th and Congress.
Oh, okay. I'm up north, so I try and avoid Austin if I can and stay up north. I'm out by the lake up north, so.
Take me to your favorite barbecue place or something. We'll have
all right, brother. You got it. We'll hit the Oasis and hang out and drink margaritas or whatever.
Perfect.
All right, man. Well, you ready for the Fast 5 questions?
Let's go.
All right. So you wake up in the morning. Your business is totally gone. You have $500 in your pocket, a laptop computer, place to live, food and drink. What are you going to do first?
First off, I'm not going to spend the money. There's no equation where it's, I'm going to get a 20% ROI on $500.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to look at it that way. I'm definitely not going to look at the money that way. I'm going to look at how can I how can I make money without spending money? And the first place my mind comes to is create content, get on YouTube. You know what? If I have a laptop computer, I'm assuming I have a webcam, or at least I can download a free.
It'll be on the computer, right?
OBS Studio. I'm going to go on there and I'm going to post. I'm just going to start creating content. I'm going to figure out a niche where I can sell my skills in. And I am going to create a YouTube channel. I'm going to do TikTok. I'm going to probably create a forum, do Instagram, do all the things. And I'm going to post content every day around skills I have that I can sell. In this case, I'm really good at managing advertising. So I would post about advertising in my case and try to generate clients for myself that'll just give me money. And I'm going to take every dollar of that and I'm just going to put it in the bank until I have a rainy day fund. And maybe after I have a couple months of payment for my life, I will spend some money on something.
Yeah, treat yourself at that point because you've made it. That is outstanding. What's the biggest business mistake you've ever made?
Biggest business mistake I ever made? That's a great question. The biggest business mistake I ever made was, I'd say, wasn't taking probably the time and the energy to really figure out and sit down and talk with one of my former business partners to figure out how we can effectively work together. When I was running my ad agency, I brought in this guy that could do sales and biz dev. He was just a natural. He schmoozed like no other person. He worked his net. He was amazing. And he was bringing in huge deals. And he slowly started to cut me out of the deals. We had agreed to 50-50 and I started getting cut out, but I was making so much money from my performance marketing. I didn't care that much, but in hindsight, so I left the company, which I just said, hey, I got my systems going. It's just me. I'm making a shitload of money, $75,000 a month. But he was an amazing salesperson. He was one of the best. He was one of the top 5 people I've ever met at this. He was definitely the best networker I've ever met in my life. Wow. He had something special and he built that company. I handed off 2 of my assistants to him and I put him in touch with somebody else who could manage ads. He built that company and sold it for almost $100 million.
Jeez. That's amazing.
With the partner that I put him in touch with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't that they had any skills or anything I didn't have. I had gotten complacent and comfortable.
Yeah.
So I'd say that was the biggest mistake I ever made. When you find a spectacular individual, figure out how to make things work out. Yeah. There's some types of people which you don't come across very often. And he was one of those people.
Yeah, that's amazing. But that's the one you kick yourself in the ass. Yeah. It's the $100 million pain in the ass. What's a good book that you recommend for our audience?
Good book I recommend for your audience. Is it all right if I do one business book and one like
do what you want, man?
Book that
That's the bonus plan.
Business book, I definitely say Cashvertising. Okay. Cashvertising by Drew Eric Whitman. This is a tactical book about marketing and writing ads and just the psychology of marketing. That's absolutely amazing. And then for a really fun read, this is a little more, this author, I typically only recommend to advanced readers, but this one's called README. It's a play on letters. It's usually README. There's a README file that is all CDs. And this book is by Neil Stevenson, and it is just, it's 1,000 pages. It's fun. I'd say if you're going to do that book, it's one of my favorites. Give it at least 200 pages, but it deals with Russian mobsters, hackers, video game billionaires, Chinese, virtual gold mining.
Good Lord.
Plans. You have You just princesses, you have the whole gamut. It takes place all around the world.
Wow.
Because it's on a private jet that goes different places. And it is one of the most wild stories you will ever read in your entire life.
It sounds like it. All they need to throw is the kitchen sink in there and it'd be perfect.
Let me throw another thing at you. He invented the term cyberspace and metaverse.
Wow. Wow.
And this person has been personally hired by Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and Sergey Brin at separate times to consult with either them individually or for their companies as like the chief futurist officer. So this guy is far ahead of his time. And if you're looking to get rich, just find something in his book that hasn't been invented and do it.
And just make it. Yeah, no kidding. What's a tool you use in your business every day that you might recommend to our audience?
Slack.
Okay.
I love Slack. And,
second person in a row that said that.
You know what? It keeps all my people together. And especially when you're working with contractors like I am, asynchronous workflows, it's fantastic.
That's brilliant.
It really helps me.
I had a client, or I had somebody I interviewed last week. She actually uses it with clients too. Yep. So she actually has her clients on there, and it allows them to just interact really well with their entire organization. The first time I had heard that one. So
you have to be on the paid plan for that, though.
Yeah, that's okay. Paid plan works.
Yeah, it's not too expensive.
What's the best way for somebody to get a hold of you if they want more information?
Sure. Send me a direct message on LinkedIn or on Twitter. Okay. I'm most active on those platforms. Keep in mind that I do have over 500,000 YouTube subscribers, and I have a lot of people that follow my stuff. So I get a lot of messages. So if you send me a message, I'd say don't just say, hey, I'd like to have some of your time or pick your brain. Just be very pointed with the specific questions that you have for me in your message.
Nice. That is awesome. John, thank you so much. Just absolutely amazing interview. I love your story. Absolutely the Freedom Day story right there. If everybody would just listen to him and model what he's doing, you're going to be your own billionaire down the road too. So thanks a lot. Appreciate it. John, thank you for your time today and your advice and sharing a little bit about your life. And we will see you down the road. Everybody, once again, we produce these twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So keep your eye out for the upcoming shows. And if you are on, certainly feel free to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you do, because occasionally we sneak in a little sneaky one, a bonus episode here and there. So make sure that you're subscribed so you get access to those. Thanks a lot. And we will see you guys back here the very next time.